So I've been looking for one of these backhoe attachments, forestry cranes, or whatever you want to call it, for quite a while. Especially after our neighbor sold this excavator this fall. Because I've been using that for all kinds of projects over the last couple of years. And I know backhoe attachment is not even close to as good as an excavator. But you can still dig with it, move brush, logs, and it's a million times better than hand shoveling. But I haven't found one for a reasonable price. But a couple of weeks ago I found this thing for a bit less than $1,500. Which I actually think is a pretty decent price, even if it's pretty rough. Because most of the other ones are closer to twice that price, so... And it wasn't even that far away. Most of the other ones I found was just super far away. And the problem with buying cheap things is that, well, it's never perfect. And this is no different. They got a good bit wrong with it, but I don't think it's actually that much, but we'll see. I hope it should be fairly quick to fix up, but... And another nice thing with this one is that most other ones I've seen for sale just comes with a bucket. But this one comes with 2 buckets, one digging bucket and one grading bucket. And this one also comes with a grapple, so that's really nice. And then another super nice thing with this one is that it has a quick attach for a S30 mount. So that is pretty nice. I've never seen the backhoe attachment with that, but so I think it's actually a pretty good deal. But enough talking here. Let's get this thing unloaded and let's start working on it. So I thought to use the tractor to drive the trailer up there. Then I'm gonna unload that. But I can't use the tractor because when I drive the trailer up there, the tractor's gonna get... yeah, I can't get the tractor out to then unload this thing. So I'm gonna have to use something else to drive the trailer up there. That actually turned out pretty good. Yeah, there's locked in. So I think that turned out pretty good actually. I'm not that used to reversing with a car and trailer. You can't see behind you as well with a car as you can with a tractor, so I'm kind of not used to that. But that worked out pretty well. And then I'm just gonna unload it here because the ground, or it's a little uphill here, so I'm gonna put some ramps out there and then they will be pretty much level. Or slight slope, it won't be as much at least. I think that will be kind of nice. So let's get those ramps out. That's pretty good. And now for these pieces of wood there. Well, these ramps are not made for that much weight. You can load a regular car on them without a problem, but if you're getting into like 2 tons or so, it's kind of getting a little too much for them. So what we usually do is just stack a few pieces of wood under there, and then it's not gonna break. And same thing for under the trailer here. It's getting quite a lot of weight putting it on here, and we don't want to break anything. So I don't know if it's necessary for this, but you know, it's better to put a few pieces of wood under there than breaking something. And then you can see why I couldn't use the tractor, because it would be trapped in there. I couldn't get it out here to then drive on here and hook the tractor up to it and then drive it off. There we go. It's just that was all the pieces of wood, so I have to go and get more for the other side. So now I got some pieces of wood on that side too. And everything seems to be supported there. And also kind of pull the brake here and let this up a little bit, so it's not actually hooked on to the car there. Because if I lift up here, I'm getting more pressure on these pieces of wood, so they're actually, the trailer is actually laying on the pieces of wood, so that should be good. And now let's just unstrap all the straps. It looks like it's way more strapped than it is, because we just tied up all the loose ends too, kind of over everything. So I got everything unstrapped, and I put a couple pieces of plywood here, so there's no change on the tractor, doesn't need to ruin the plywood on the trailer. And I think everything is ready to just get the tractor and hook it up. So I think that's turning out pretty good. I'm pretty lined up there, except that the tires are hitting those pallets, so I can't reverse any further than that, and I need to, you know, come back here. So I was just thinking here, and then Dad looked out the window here and wondered how it went, and I said it went good, except that the tires are hitting the pallet here, and he just came out, just said, well, just cut the pallet off. And I thought, well, that should work, so let's just cut the pallet off. It's still like broken there. That's not good. is still gonna twist that way a good bit because it's leaning like that. So let's just put a ratchet strap from there up to there, and then we can pull that tight, and then we should tip this part that way. I think that is maybe gonna work. I can't get it much further with that strap at least. There we go. The pin is in. Now we can just put this in. That side is locked in there. I need to pull this further that way. Maybe if I just put a ratchet strap from one of those holes and over to the tractor somewhere, I might can just pull it that way. So that is kind of tight there against the side, so if I had a crowbar I could just push it, but I don't, and I don't bother get it, so let's try without it. No, that is too tight. I have to get a crowbar. There we go. Got the pin in there. It wasn't too bad with a crowbar to push it in there. Now it's just to get this hooked up right there. It always goes in there super easy, but not this time. It's not gonna fall out of there anyway. I can't get the pin in, so. But I think that will work. So I got all that hooked up here. Got the strap here because, and I'm gonna leave it because there's some air in the cylinders there, so they're kind of sagging down when you lift it. I think it will do at least. So, but I think everything is ready to, well, lift it up and drive it off. Did not seem to have a problem at all lifting it. The only reason I stopped is because this strap made some funny noises, and I don't think it's really strong enough. So, and I can't use the hydraulic because I don't have a PTO shaft or anything like that. That is one of the things that I have to fix. I'm just gonna go in and get some jack stands under that. So I'm just extremely happy with that. Yeah, I'm super happy with that. So I just need to fix it up so it works. Which I don't think is too much work actually, but yeah, I'm really happy with that. And this tractor did handle it really well, I gotta say. When I picked it up kind of quickly, it kind of got a little light in the front, but not too bad. I know it's still gonna get like a grapple or a bucket in the end there, but I think it will handle it just fine. And I was kind of scared that these would end up way too high, but I think it's actually pretty good height because, well, it should go up a little bit, but you want the PTO shaft to be kind of level. So yeah, I think that will be really good. So I'm gonna go and eat, and then we'll get this detach this from the tractor, and then we'll get the rest of the things unloaded. So I got this unloaded here, and just put on a couple of pellets here. And I'm gonna go and clean up that mess up there. And then we can start taking a look at this, what we need to do to get it working. So, as most of my projects do, they end up taking a lot longer than I thought they would do, and probably want them to do too. Though I haven't been working on this at all. I just put it here and, well, had other things to do, so yeah, did that. And well, it's not that much later, maybe just a couple weeks since the last thing you saw. It looks kind of different because it came like 25 centimeters of snow or so this night. So the problem when the project is taking so long is that you kind of forget where you left off. But yeah, so let's see what the problem is with this thing to get it going here. It's not too much problems, but a little bit. The first thing, that's not meant to be like that. That's the return filter for the hydraulic oil, so yeah, it's not meant to be like that. So I'm gonna have to replace that, and the only good thing is taking a while is I've at least ordered all the things I need. The only problem is it's like Christmas and New Year time, so no companies are working, so it takes a lot longer to get things, but they should be coming in a couple days here. And then this hydraulic pump, shouldn't be anything wrong with that. but and between this shaft and the PTO shaft on the tractor is like 20 centimeters. So and you can't have a PTO shaft that is 20 or 25 centimeters or whatever it was. So we're gonna have to move this hydraulic pump back this much, so it will end up getting a reasonable distance between that. And I think that's the first thing I'm gonna tackle, or project that I'm gonna start on this thing. Then it's not really anything wrong with it that I know on anything else, except I just have 2 hydraulic outlets here, and I need 4 or 2 pairs for the grapple, both to turn the grapple and then to open and close it. So yeah, that's another thing, but yeah, let's get started on the pump here. But to do that, I need to remove this hose and get rid of the whole hydraulic pump, really. And to do that, I need to drain, well, I suppose I don't need to drain all the hydraulic oil, but I kind of want to drain it and replace it, because that have been open to the elements and kind of watered down in it for I don't know how long, but probably a long time. So there's probably some water in there, so I just like to drain it and get some new stuff in there. So let's try to loosen this fitting here. So I do like that it is winter, and I like winter, except when you're gonna be working outside, because it's cold and not fun at all, honestly. I think I maybe could get it in the garage, but I don't know. Well, no, I should turn it the other way, shouldn't I? Well, that's not gonna work. Just to get it in the bucket. I should probably have another bucket, because it always not gonna get room in that bucket, but so I got another bucket ready here, and it's starting to drip right there. There we go. So that looks like pretty dark and dirty hydraulic oil. It should be much. It shouldn't be that color, I don't think. It's kind of, yeah, no, it shouldn't have that color. It's pretty dirty, so I'm just gonna go ahead and drain it here and get it replaced. Oh yeah, it stopped raining because now this is going up, so this is below the level of the tank. So if I push it down here, it should stop raining again, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't that much oil in it. I don't know. And I don't have a plug for this or anything, so can't really seal it up all that good, which is kind of dumb. It is what it is. Should be good enough anyway. Just bent it up there above the level in the tank, definitely, so now nothing can drain out of there. I'm gonna get rid of this hose, which is the feed up to the valve block there. This is a little bit of a smaller hose here, but let's just, oh man, that sucker is tight. It's just turning down there instead. I should have been doing this when it wasn't so cold and snowy. Oh, there we go. Now it's coming. Just gonna remember to tighten those up later. There, no. Right there, maybe it can drain. And I'm just gonna get these taped up, and then I think it's time to remove the pump. And look at that, I just poked around a little bit in that hole because I saw that stuff. Hope you can see it in there. That stuff in there, and that's all ice, which means it's all water. Not tons, but still water in the system, or in the oil, so yeah, I think it's pretty good to drain this and get it replaced. It wasn't the best choice to work on this today, but yeah, should have chosen another day, but it works. That should be something at least. So, there we go. There, boom. And gonna get a crowbar and kind of wiggle this thing out of here. There we go. Oh. So now I got the pump removed at least. First I thought I cut this beam just on both sides of this plate here when it's in place, but I think I'm gonna take those bolts out and take it all off and get it into the garage and work on it there where it's not so cold. Can't really get to it. That was pretty tight, but it is moving. There we go. So I got this thing taken off here, and then I've been thinking here for a while how I'm actually gonna do this, or like rather how much I'm gonna move this back. And I'm gonna move it back. So this tube here is put out here, which, yeah, the only problem moving it that much is that it will stick out like really a lot here. This is just roughly how much it will stick out, which is a lot. But isn't there really no other way of doing it? Because if I don't move it back that much, this, you know, this distance between here will be literally non-existent. So this will, you know, be maybe here or something like that, and it would just be way too short, so it's just not gonna work. And Yes, I could probably make, so this pump here is put, you know, right on the PTO shaft on the tractor, so I mount it on the tractor, but it could work, but it's kind of heavy to move around and stuff. And I just rather just hook up that PTO shaft. But anyway, let's start with just cutting this off right here, trying to separate the plate here from the square tubing. And then we'll get a couple pieces cut for the side and the back and kind of make a little box, sort of. Sorry for all the noise here, but got these pieces cut here and cleaned up just enough where I'm gonna weld. So I'm just gonna weld these on the side here and in the back. Kind of overbuilt maybe, but kind of like to do that. It's at least not too weak, I don't think. So yeah, but I need also to have about a centimeter gap because the pump is a little wider than the plate here. So we'll see how we're gonna fill that up. Maybe I have to cut a little piece or something to, we'll see. But I'm gonna start with just welding this one in the back and then we'll. And for this gap here, I just cut a couple little pieces of an 8mm round bar. I'm just gonna put those in there and then just weld both sides, and I think that should be good enough. got this thing all welded up here. And, well, I didn't ever, after I tacked this up, I never checked that the pump actually fits. But I did get kind of scared that it wouldn't. And so I just checked it yesterday. Because it's next day here and it's so cooled down and stuff. And these bolts is hitting. So I'm gonna have to just cut 2 little notches on this. But now, it's for this thing. I'm just gonna keep this distance the same. I'm just gonna cut out a section here and weld these pieces on either side here. Right there, it's centered up. Just draw a line right there, one right there. So I'll just cut that piece away. So just clean these pieces up here a little bit and put it on this square tubing here because the bench is kind of wonky, so the whole thing kind of curved or whatever. So, but now it should be nice and straight. So I was just out checking this thing to see if the holes lines up with the holes out there, and they do. And I just made sure that they did, or as good as I could. I just measured before I cut this right there, and it is like 77.9 millimeters, or centimeters I mean. And I just measured here, and it looks so good, and also checked it. So yeah, now we can just go ahead and fully weld this. So I got these welded up here, and now I'm gonna put one of these square tubings here, like that, to strengthen this up a little bit because it's kind of weak right there. And then it should get real strong. Just gonna mark 30 mil from the hole roughly, like that. And just need to be that precise, something like that. Put this like that. Right out to the corner here. And then just gonna mark it like that. And then just cut it and make 2 of those, one for either side. just ran out of wire here, but I got some now. So let's change the rolls. I should be able to get it out here. Maybe. Should be able to just pull that through like that. There we go. Oh no. Don't let go of the wire because then it'll unspools itself. So, got that chased out, so now we can get back to welding. So, got this thing all looking pretty nice. So, well, not super nice, but it's all welded up anyway, and it should be plenty strong. And for all you who are thinking that this is quite overbuilt, you're completely right, it is. I didn't maybe intend to make it this overbuilt, but I ain't gonna break anyway, so yeah. I'm happy with it anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get this ground down, clean it up a little bit, and then we can go and get it put back on. So let's see if it fits now. Oh, it's heavy too. With this stuff at least. It did line up. Perfect. So now we can put the nuts on. Oops. No, the threads does not seem to be damaged either, so that's nice. It's always kind of scary that you're gonna damage the threads when you're hammering the bolt in, but I got lucky now. So, yes, it sticks out quite far, but I think it will turn out okay anyway. So this is the problem I was talking about earlier, that I have to notch this out a little bit here. Huh, that was dumb. I should have checked that before I welded this. So, yeah, but you know what? The easiest way of doing that, that's just to make a little cutout. I thought to just take the die grinder and just grind out a little for the bolts, but I think it's a little more, so I'm just gonna take the angle grinder and just cut out a little notch here. It's not gonna So now we got the pump in place. That is actually looking pretty nice. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. That turned out pretty okay too with that cutout there. Not too bad. It just started snowing, like, I almost said like crazy, but it's not that much. But still a good bit. So it's a week later maybe here. And now all the snow has disappeared. And it's raining and super nice weather, so I really feel like working outside. No, not really. So I'm gonna not work on that guard. And I'm gonna start on the adapter here between the shaft here for the hydraulic pump and the PTO shaft. And for that I bought this. I thought just put on there and super easy. But there's a couple problems with this thing. First of all, it's too long. So yeah, that's kind of not great because I want the everything here to be as short as possible, so the PTO shaft gets as long as it can be, because it will still be pretty short. So that's not going to work for that reason. And also bought the wrong PTO shaft here. It got, well, it has spline in one end and the other is not. It's just a 35mm hole. So what I need is something that, so this won't fit at all, but it actually turned out to be very good that I bought that, because now I can just turn my own adapter, which is 25mm hole, and then just a little shaft that is 35mm. So I'm just gonna start here with facing the end off to clean up all the rust. And of course I'm gonna chip the insert. That's $5 down the drain. But thankfully I can just flip it around because the other end is good. And now I got it cleaned up here, and I'm gonna center drill it, make a little hole so I can put a live center in there, because I have quite far stick out here, and when you're turning with a part that sticks out far, that can lead to some vibrations, and then it doesn't turn too nice. So then you just get the tailstock and put it up against the part with a live center to support it. And then it's supported at both ends, and it's nice and sturdy. And here I'm just starting to turn the OD of the adapter, and most of that's just to clean up all the rust. The exact OD doesn't matter that much. Here I'm just starting to turn down the end where the PTO shaft is gonna sit, and the length on this I'm turning down here is not super exact, and that's why I marked it just with a pen. I'm gonna check it more later to get it a little closer to what I want. And here I'm getting pretty close to the final OD, so I'm getting out the micrometer to get more of an exact measurement, and then also put out the indicator so I know how much I'm taking off at every pass. And here I have about 3.5 millimeter left to write the OD. And here I'm down to 35.2, and I'm just double checking because I'm not sure if I measured the actual PTO shaft 100% correct, but it seems to not go on, so I'm gonna take off another 0.2 millimeters or 0.1 millimeters on the radius. So it fits perfectly here. It was quite tight, but I think it's just some crap in the back here, a little paint or something, that is stopping it from going on easy the whole way. But I'll say the fit is absolutely perfect. Couldn't be happier with that, so yeah, I'm really happy with that. So this is all finished up in this end, and the PTO shaft fits perfectly, so let's just turn it around and start working at the other end. Here I'm just indicating the part in so it has as little run out as possible. So that will be close enough at least. And here I'm just swapping over to a part off tool, and it's kind of an old lathe. It's maybe 100 years or even older, so I don't really have a good way of checking the height except checking it against the live center on the tailstock, and that seems to work pretty good. And here I'm just starting to part it off, and the best way I found it to just get one of these part off tools to cut it good, at least if it's in a high speed steel, just to have a fairly slow RPM, make sure the tool is super sharp, have as little stick out as you can, and a lot of oil. And here I'm just starting to clean up this side too, because the part off tool doesn't leave the nicest finish. And here I'm just starting on the 25mm hole for the hydraulic pump shaft, and I'm just starting with a center drill to start the hole, and then I'm just going over to a fairly small drill bit for a pilot hole, and then I'm going over to a 21mm drill bit or something like that. Just hog out the poly material, and also so I can get a boring bar in there and then turn it to the final diameter of 25.4mm. So this cutter does not work because it leaves a horrible surface finish. I don't know if you can see it there, but anyway. But I have this thing that I made for cutting the keyway in this thing that you'll see a little later. But, well, so I just ground another cutter that would work for this, and I think that should work a lot better. And here I'm just doing the same thing as I did for the other end, just that this is on the inside. I'm just going slowly and checking as I go so I don't turn it too large. So right now I'm at that measurement, and I'm gonna go up to 0.4, so that is another 0.2mm. I was a little closer when I thought I were, but yeah, I'm just gonna take off 0.1mm and it should be bang on, because the hole size should be 1 true inch, which is 25.4mm. And what I'm doing there with the compressed air is just trying to blow all the chips out so it doesn't pile up in there, and that's why I can't turn all the way to the bottom. I'm almost there. I'm 0.04mm under, so yeah, another pass on just a couple of hundredths of a millimeter, and then it should be perfect. So I think that is perfect. It's like that, and the shaft is, well, the hole is about 2/300ths of a millimeter larger than the shaft is. So I think that should fit perfectly, if I'm getting an accurate measurement with these at least, which I think I do. I was kind of scared to use them when I got them, but I got a bit more feel for it now, so I think I get it all right. So let's just bevel these edges, and let's just take it out of the chuck and test fit it and hope it fits, because I can never get it in the chuck 100% centered again after I take it out. So yeah, just to hope it fits now. So this turned out perfectly, and the surface finish doesn't look the best. It's kind of looked grooved, but it's absolutely super smooth. So super happy with this. Sadly I forgot to bevel both these edges there, but yeah, I might pop it back in the truck and just bevel those a little bit. But let's go see if this fits now. Yeah, I need to file a little bit on there, and then it should go on. It's kind of a burr where that keyway is. So this thing does fit on here now, sort of. And I couldn't help myself. I popped it back in the lab and just beveled these a little. It does fit on there almost all the way. I just think it got a little smaller at the bottom when I turned it. And it's about 200ths of a millimeter smaller at the bottom. So I think it's pretty much the same size. And that's why it's going good all the way to there. Then it goes tight. And it should go in a little bit further there, so I don't know what I do about that, but well, you could probably just hammer it on and you will never get it off, but whatever. I don't really need it off, I don't think. Hope at least. Yeah, so we'll call that good. So now this thing is done, and we're gonna drill some holes here. First one, not first maybe, but one hole for this right there, for a pin right there, or a bolt. And then one hole somewhere for a set screw. And then I'm gonna make a keyway in this thing. And for this key, the best way would probably be to use something like this, obviously a lot bigger. Go in and cut a little groove at the bottom, just where the keyway is gonna be, and then you can come in and make the keyway. I'll show you later how you do that, and also why you need this, but I don't have that, and I'm not gonna buy a bigger one. You could also turn a groove at the bottom all the way around, but that would remove quite a lot of material all the way around, weakening it. Not because this thing probably need to be that thick, but the easiest way is just to take a drill bit, not this one, but one in the right size, and just drill a hole, and then yeah, I can make that keyway. So yeah, let's drill some holes here. And well, I just made that little mark there to mark out where I'm gonna drill. And here, to put it simply, I'm just trying to find the center of the part. And here I'm also starting with a center drill to mark a little mark, so the drill bit has something to start in, because the regular drill bit doesn't like to start on something that is round. So now I got the easy holes made. Now is it the last hole, which is really the hard one, because it has to be pretty exact. These doesn't really matter where they were, so this is gonna fit in here, if I can get it in. So I got it in here, and it has to be pretty exact in the right location here, this hole, because I want this to sit against this shoulder here and not be a bit of space between. So I want this hole to be exactly right there, not too far that way, or really that way or that way. It just has to be pretty exact, but yeah, I'm gonna have to try to get that set up somehow. And then it's just to drill it, which is the easy part. So I got lined up to drill that hole, and I'm just gonna say I am lined up. I don't think anybody wanted to listen to me for an hour saying how I got that done. So I'm just gonna say I'm lined up, and let's drill that hole. And I suppose the only thing left here is to see if it fits, or I should say not fits, if it lines up, which I sure hope it does. It's some stupid little burr, just makes it go a little tight. There we go. We got it on there, but does it line up? Sorry, but you're gonna have to see something. And you know what? So far it looks pretty good. It's close enough for that. And this is a bolt I made for this, because it has to be a 13mm bolt, and we only have 12 and 16, so that won't work. So I just made my own. That's it. Come through though on the other side, because if this hole is a little too high or a little off-centered this way, it won't go in. Which it seems like it is, just a tiny little bit. So I think I can just grind a little on something and then it should go in, but it's close enough so I can take it out to the chuck here. And I wanted to leave it in just so I could, if I had to do something about it, I could just, I knew where I were at least. I was centered up, I should say. There we go. just doesn't want to go through. Then I have to grind a little bit on that thing or something to make it go in, because it just barely doesn't go in. This thing fits really nice, like perfect fit in there. Super happy with that. This hole I knew wouldn't turn out perfect, obviously, because yeah, it's I don't have the perfect way of lining anything up, but now it fits nice and tight, so I ain't gonna come out of there even without the nut. And yeah, that's just good enough. I'll leave it at that. I don't like grinding it like that. It kind of seems, I don't know, cheating a little bit, but it's the easiest way of doing it. So yeah, now it fits good enough. Looks really nice right there. Shouldn't shear off anyway. So the only thing I got left to do now is to make a keyway. So I have my little homemade boring bar or keyway making thing with a different cutter. Went for turning. It's square there, and if you know how a shaper works, this is exactly the same thing, just in a lathe. So I don't have the setup or anything, but I'm just gonna take just a hair, just, you know, from the surface, and gonna move over just a hair, and then just take a cut, obviously on the inside. And then I need this hole because I need to end in something. I can't just stop, or the chip has to break off in something. I don't know if you can see in the hole there, but I got the cutter lined up with a hole there. Now I'm just gonna go in and out like this, and every time move in just a tiny little bit. And eventually it should look something like this. Just a little test I did when I made the cutter there, to see how it worked, and it seems to work pretty good. Just to make sure to keep it well oiled here. And I have locked the spindle, so it can turn and will stay in the same spot. Also to take very light cuts like this, just to take a tiny little bit off every time. That is starting to look pretty nice, and it's kind of funny. Most of the chips is just feeding out of that hole. And I hope you can see in there, but it's looking pretty nice. That fits just perfectly in there. I still don't know if it's deep enough though. I think I still have to go a little deeper. But yeah, that is so freaking good fit at least. So I'm just super happy with that. I don't really know how to measure keyway, but I just measured in there. That measurement like that. And then that is that much. And I'm just gonna measure that. Right there, that's 28. I thought there was enough, but I need to take, so I cleaned that groove out, and I think it's 27.7, so the measurements are the same, but you want a little clearance, so it's pretty much good, but I'm gonna take out like 0.3 millimeters more or something like that, and then it should be perfect. So I got that machined out, so now the key fits, or the height is good, I should say. So let's see if this fits right here. Maybe I should put the key in there and also check that the key fits. That fits very nicely right there. What? Let's start with putting the key in there. And then we can put that on there. Maybe. Goes on there nicely. Just need a hammer to tap it on the last little bit there, but that's pretty good right there. I got one thing left to do now, and that is to tap that hole and the other hole at the bottom here. That hole at the bottom is going to be a set screw to lock this onto the shaft, and that hole I'm just going to put a short little bolt in it to cover up the hole so you can't see it's a hole there. So there we go. Now it is finally finished. That took way longer than I thought it would do, but pretty happy with the results anyway. So these are all done here finally, and I got real fancy getting this painted here. I think it turned out pretty good. I couldn't just let it sit outside and get all rusty. I know these surfaces are not painted, but it will go in here, so you can't really have paint there. So I'm just gonna, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna put some grease around it, and that will kind of prevent it from rusting in here and these parts getting stuck together. I don't know. But it's looking pretty nice, so yeah, now we can go outside and get this put on. Just a little bit. Make it slide on easier, and so it doesn't need to rest. And I should probably mention that usually you drill a little hole in the shaft for the set screw to go into, so it really locks it onto the shaft. And in this application the depth it can't come off, but the shaft is hardened, so I can't drill into it. So just have to hope that this screw has enough holding power to hold it on, even without the little hole. Getting the paint dirty, can't do that. Just gonna get this screw as tight as I can. I don't want this thing walking off the shaft here. That would kind of suck. Can we get it a little? I think that's good enough right there. Gonna get this thing a little grease. No. So, you know what? I'm not gonna bother getting that bolt in there, because I'm still gonna have to probably take this off and cut it to length. I will have to cut it, so it's just easier to take it off, and then there's no point putting that together any more than that. So I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. So, well, we got a good bit done here, but this video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna end it here, and then we'll pick up in the next video where we left off, and maybe not get it all finished, but continue and get a good bit done. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.